So let's talk about video games. What's video games? Okay, I'm a big gamer. Yes, yes, there's a turkey in the chat room. I'm a big gamer. I think everybody here is a big gamer because this is broadcast on Twitch. So let's start going through what your favorite video games are. And we'll get into the history of it and why you like it. Is it an emotional crutch? Whatever comes up, it's all fair game this week. So what are your favorite video games just off the top of your head? We'll start with Erica.
Okay, favorite video games. Let's see. Super Mario World.
Mm-hmm.
Super Mario 3. Eastbook 1 and 2. Exile 1 and 2. Einhander. Xenogears. Doom. Quake 1 and 2. Oh my god, there's so many freaking games. Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter, fair enough. What made you pick Super Mario Brothers first? Like, how was that? Why was that first to jump out of your mouth?
Because I was kind of going in chronological order.
Ah, there was like a history to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not it's not the order you love them. It's just the order that went into your brain.
Yeah. But the thing I like about those games the most is that I remember playing them with my friends when I was a kid. So there's that whole.
So there's a nostalgia factor to those games. Yeah. It's like a sentimentality. I have the same feeling, and some of the ones that I'll list are totally attached to people and times and memories, etc. So, but Yeast, that's a single player game, right?
Yeast, yes.
Yeast, sorry. And what do you like about Yeast? Because I've heard you talk about that game before. It's one of your favorites.
Oh yeah, I run my mouth about it constantly whenever I can. So it was one of the first games I played on the TurboGrafx CD system, and the TurboGrafx CD system was the first disk-operated 16-bit system. A little bit of trivia, and I'm pretty sure that's the thing. But the thing I liked about it was one of the first games I heard that had it didn't have the MIDI like 8-bit music or even the MIDI 16-bit music. It actually had like synthesizers and stuff, and it. Whenever you started the game or beat like a big boss in the game, you would get like I say animation roughly because it was literally like, I don't know, 10 frames a second of animation. Really basic, but the story was really cool and really good, and like the protagonist didn't have a voice, and you never really, well, you did see him, but it was kind of like a Zelda clone.
So you really liked it because it had innovation to it, things you had never seen or heard before, right? With the music and the way the music was presented. So did you feel like it was like because it was like not a shocking experience, but bringing something new to your experience that sort of contributed towards that like nostalgia and love for the game? Yeah,
and like it was one of the first games I played that had voice acting and trivia. Thomas Hayden Church did a voice in it, and I believe the guy that played Data from Star Trek also did a voice in it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and this was in like 91 or 92, before they were even like big actors.
Almost before I was born. That's not true. I was born way before that. Austin, tell me what's your favorite video games. Let's get a quick list of you.
Just the top ones that I can think of. Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask is my favorite game of all time.
I've never played either one of those games. I know. Just if you're out there, just throw tomatoes at the screen. Please continue.
Yeah, so Majora's Mask and then Ocarina of Time.
I wouldn't know.
They're two separate games. And Final Fantasy X.
Got it. I've never played that either, by the way. Hey, by the way, this is sort of a payback episode of the Jeskidding podcast because we did a movies one, and I think Austin had seen a total of like 2.5 movies in his entire fucking life. And he was our guest. So when I haven't played a particular game, I think it's all fair game. So Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, or whatever. What was the second one?
Ocarina of Time.
So what is that? Is that a Final Fantasy game?
No, Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy are two different.
No, I knew that. I got that part of it. I'm just saying, what was the Final Fantasy 7 called?
Final Fantasy X.
7 was called 10?
Oh, you want to know what Final Fantasy VII was, or just Final Fantasy VII?
I'm just going to let you talk, because obviously I have no video game knowledge whatsoever, apparently. So please continue.
It's just basically like the very first video game I ever played was Zelda. It's the very first thing I ever played.
Interesting. So that's kind of stuck with you as one of your favorites because it was one of the first you ever played.
Yeah, it was like kind of what broke me into like gaming and stuff, and then World of Warcraft came along, in 2005, and then that is what got me into PC stuff.
Ah.
So World of Warcraft is definitely up there, like the older, like the classic WoW that they're coming out with here in August. Like that was a game that I put more hours into than I'd like to say.
More than 1,200 hours?
Easy.
Fair
more
enough.
than 1,200.
Fair enough. That's so, and it was like
I actually did a calculation the other day. You can do like a slash played on your characters and see how long you played. I got on one of them, and it's just the individual character. And I calculated from the days how many hours it was, and just on that one character that I've had since like 2006, like one I made in 2006, I had like 4,400 hours on that one character.
Wow. I mean, wow.
And that's not even
literally
including,
wow. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, I have issues with those kinds of games, and not because they're great, but there's reasons I don't play them. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So, Danny from the chat room says that she thought that I thought that Final Fantasy VII was Ocarina of Time. I don't. Maybe. I don't.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. Hey, Ocarina. Right. Listen, I got my niches, and I don't. Niches get stitches. Okay, assholes. Let me just fucking be. So, okay. Anything else you'd like to add to that list? Austin? Besides, you have World of Warcraft, Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy X, not 7.
Yeah, those are really just the top for me. Like, Legend of Zelda was just always, you know, it's just kind of like a dungeon crawl kind of game. You go in these temples and you got to kind of, you know, do the puzzles. And it had a really good story. And Final Fantasy X was one of my favorites because, like, solely because of the story that's behind it. Really immersive.
I remember that Spirited Away piece of shit. No offense, Steve out there who loves it. And I was like, oh, if this has anything to do with the game, I'll never want to play those games. This
You
is
mean
ridiculous.
Spirits Within,
Whatever.
not Spirited Away.
Oh yeah, Spirited Away is good. Spirits Within is
Oh my
bad.
God.
Listen, I haven't had a lot of coffee today, and I'm having a rough time keeping up with you youngins. Oh my God, I don't know anything. All right, so my turn. I go way back because I'm older than you all. And so what's my favorite games? God, definitely on the list. And I will put Overwatch in this list. Austin here won't. Even though it's become very sour because the people fuck it up, I think Overwatch is one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. Because I've never put that much time into it. Yeah, just choke on it. Choke on it, asshole. But it's not my favorite.
I'm actually going to vomit.
It's not my favorite. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. Okay. Totally love that. Loved original StarCraft, but never played competitively. Was addicted to these arcade modes. But if I had to say what was my favorite game of all time, I'm going to say it is by far, and I love Doom and all those games. I grew up with that stuff. And, you know, I go back to, we'll talk about consoles in a second. I remember, like, the first consoles. Like, the shit that's, like, people had to put wires and turn them around like a little metal thing to get them to work. But
RFU adapter.
You know, and before that. So my favorite game of all time, I'm gonna say number 1 is gonna be Street Fighter Alpha 2. By far, nothing even comes close in my brain to Street Fighter Alpha 2. It's the fucking greatest game ever made. But I mean, that's the time. It's changed, this and that. But part of that was the experiences that I had playing it, where I was when I played it, and all those other things. Man, I used to love fighting games because I was a karate guy, so I was just like, oh, I can Chun-Li my way to people's hearts, and her big, luscious thighs just kick people in the face. I kind of loved it for that reason. And I played the shit out of that game in college. So I think everybody has their college game, or if you went to college. If you didn't go to college, I'm sorry. But everybody, if you went to college, you had that like game that you played through college, and that was my game. And everybody would crowd around the fucking arcade thing, and winner stays and loser pays. And when you got good, and I was really good, I could play for like 2 hours with never leaving the console because I got really good at that shit. So I just have so many fond memories of like going to the arcade and just hoping to see my friends there and get that competitive spirit going. And then they had this famous arcade in New York called the Broadway Arcade. There's a documentary on YouTube about it, where some of the best players in the country played. And I would go to this thing until it got like crazy dangerous. We'll talk about that in a little while. When arcades started to die. And in New York, people would be like bringing guns and drugs to the arcades. They'd be like, I just want to play a game. I don't want to get fucking shot. It was crazy. So those are kind of my favorites. I obviously love Overwatch. I really loved Bioshock. in recent time. The first one especially. I totally loved Fallout 3. I went apeshit for Fallout 3. I just thought it was like, both of those games for me was such an immersive experience. I also really liked Last of Us, but not the same level. I just like the storytelling in it, and I've had many arguments with Erica over Last of Us. Total off topic. So, but I love that the storytelling in it, but it's nowhere near as good as like for me when the experience of when I played BioShock and when I played Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was like I just felt it was never ending. I know you have something to say about Last of Us. Just say it. It's okay.
No, I said I forgot Dead Space.
Okay, Dead Space, great game. I agree. Dead Space, amazing game. And I'd say I'd put Halo as a great game, but I don't think Halo is one of my favorites of all. Halo 1 was one of my favorites of all time. Playing Halo 2 multiplayer, I fucking loved. You know, I loved it, but it's not my favorite. You know what I'm saying? Halo 1 I thought was an iconic game. I still remember playing through the ending where I'm going over the hills and the fucking what was the thing? Humvee, what is it called? Warthog, right? And just trying to get to the end and having to repeat it, and the excitement I felt from playing this game, which is rare, that I sort of felt like, holy shit, I feel like I'm so immersed in this this world. I love this game and these characters. So that's kind of my list. And everybody else, we're happy to hear your list. Happy to sort of talk about that too, and where you first, had your first virginity experience with video games. Mine was, I'm trying to think. I remember being at my friend's house, and they had Pong. I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was cool, but I didn't really play it. Then my friend had the Odyssey, which is a game that you guys have never heard of, I'm sure. And he had this like dragon game, and if I were to look at it now, I'd be like, oh, that's like a bunch of squiggly lines moving around the fucking screen. But back then it was like me and my friend were like 6 or 7, and we were like, oh my god, kill the dragon. And then he would fight with his sister. It never ended well, because she'd come home from school and she was a fucking bitch. So it just would go. It would just the dragon was his sister.
I was gonna say, was his dragon a sister?
Yeah, I mean she's I'm sure a nice girl now, but they fight and then she'd claw at him and he'd have actual fucking cuts, and I'm like, oh, we should never play the Odyssey again. Then my friend had Intellivision, which had like sports games on it. But then, of course, the thing that changed everything for me was the Atari 2600, and changed it for everybody. That was like the holy shit moment. Games are getting really good at the home system. And at the same time, and then I had ColecoVision, and then I had all of these fucking things. Then my friend got the Commodore 64, and that was like the game changer of PC gaming. It was the Commodore 64. And my friend, me and Diego, would play Mule, which is like a money-making game, and Hardball. Those are the two that you just played, and nothing else for that system. But my childhood is so deeply steeped with video games, and I'd love to hear a story from you guys too. That when I was a kid, I was like 14, 13. They had the local arcade, so that was my spot. Like I would go out. It was a cigar shop, so I may have cancer from hanging out there too much. It's possible, but they had like 3 or 4 games in a row in this place, and I used to play hooky and all this shit. Just play the video games all the time. And they had back then the video games, they wouldn't keep your score. They'd get turned off at night, and it's not. So they would put on the top of the video game who had the high score. And there was a lot of kids went there, and I had every single game was me all the time. Like I owned everybody. And I'd say I'm gonna put because we're talking about arcade games too, so I have to throw one more in there. One of my favorite games of all time, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I fucking love that game. I don't know what it was about it. Oh, and whipping people and shit. I just was into it. Not whipping people. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, back to you guys. Let's get a story from Erica. Tell me a video game story that you think is funny. Or tragic.
I just realized that your initials are JRC, jerk.
Who's JRC? Yeah, don't worry about that, okay? My name's not Jerk. It's Jesse. Jeskidding. How dare you? It's fucking unbelievable that you would say this in front of all my friends here on the internet. Please continue.
It's a good thing they can't see your degree on the wall.
Thank God. Yeah, because I fucking burned that piece of shit. It's useless. It's a worthless degree. I have a master's degree from the University of Southern California, so I can have a 4-camera setup for a fucking podcast. Oh, woe is me. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please. Roast me some more. Sorry. Please, roast me a little more. I'd like it.
No. That wasn't a roast. That was a reminisce.
No, well, but it's it's okay. I smell nice when I'm roasted. It's good.
Like coffee.
Yeah, my cooking flesh smells like coffee. All right, please continue.
Okay. So the first time I played video games, I'm sure I screwed around with the controller at some point, but my first memory is I was 5, and my family didn't have a ton of money. And the first system we had was the Atari 7800, and they got me Big Bird's Egg Hunt.
Big Bird's Egg Hunt.
Yes, and the thing that was like, it came with this. If you just imagine like a really basic calculator, but blown up to like the size of almost an Etch-a-Sketch, and it was blue and it had numbers on it, or like a one of the touchstone phones, but it had a giant buttons on it. Depending on the game, like I got a bunch of Sesame Street games, and Big Bird's Egg Hunt was one of them. But it came with like this little plastic overlay that you put over the buttons, and it would show you how to control Big Bird. And like Big Bird's Egg Hunt was like you would have to walk under these chickens as Big Bird and catch the eggs in a basket that was on Big Bird's head.
That's amazing. And you still remember this game? It's like crystal clear, right? Would you go play it again if you had the chance?
I don't know. I'm sure it's an emulator somewhere online, or a ROM, whatever they're called.
We should have a Big Bird Egg Hunt fucking party here in New York and just all play that game. That'd be amazing.
Oh, I don't know about that.
And there'd be fucking cocaine and marijuana, and like it'd be crazy.
You know what? I think smoking a bowl and playing Big Bird's Egg Hunt would be pretty fucking funny.
That's fair. That's fair. I wasn't kidding about the other stuff, by the way.
I would probably do worse as an adult stone than I did as a 5-year-old. Actually, no, I'd probably do better than I was a 5-year-old kid.
That's fair.
We'll
That's fair. And Bubby said real quick, Halo 1 kind of defined the modern era of console shooters. It shares similarities with new shooters today. I agree with that completely. I think that actually Halo 1 and Overwatch actually have a lot in common. I do. There's something about the way the characters move and the things that happen that are similar to it. The rest of them, no. Anyway, Austin, tell me a story about you in video games.
When I was younger, I used to rage way, 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 way harder.
You don't say.
Than I ever do now. People think that like I rage now. Like I used to spike controllers. I was that kid.
Oh,
I used to spike controllers and stuff like that. Like when I first got into Counter-Strike really competitively, back in the day, I played 1.6, but it wasn't long after 1.6 that I started playing Counter-Strike Source. And I got to playing with one of my real life friends, and we got to where we was playing in the SCA and CEVO and all these tournaments. And I used to, holy hell, it just thundered hard out here.
Did you?
Oh, I can hear it.
Oh, that's what that was. Holy shit. Yeah, I thought it was a train next to me. And it's actually going to rain here too, which is kind of ironic. Just really quick, did you think, Austin, that I think a lot of people when they play games competitively, did a part of you think that you could maybe go professional in some way? Was that an option when you first started?
I don't know if I was good enough to go pro, but I was pretty good. I mean, I was playing on a main level, which is right below pro. It used to be open, which open division is, I guess, kind of like maybe like Overwatch is open division where anyone can join, and that's where you qualify. Maybe they call it contenders, but that's what it used to be called open, ESCA open or CEVO open. Mm-hmm. And we would play in those, and then we qualified for CEVO main and ESCA main. Like back then it was CEVO and ESCA. And like, I mean, we beat a lot of good teams, and I've played against people that ended up becoming pros. But like it was mostly just the excitement of the competitiveness. But like me and him were hard ragers. I'm talking like we didn't do things that were like over the top. Well, maybe we did a couple times.
So but, you broke shit, obviously, right?
I've broken mouses.
Broke controllers.
I've touched keyboards. I've spiked controllers.
Have you ever broken like a monitor or a television?
I have never broken a monitor, but my friend did. He threw his headphones at his monitor once and put a big black mark across the middle of it.
God, that's got to be so fucking bad.
He got so bad to where he bought a bunch of blank CDs and put them on his desk, and every single time he got pissed, he'd throw one. He'd just chuck one at the wall. But I used to get so mad, and like the thing that I would do the most is I would just punch my desk. Like
I've done that. I've done that in Overwatch for sure. I've gotten very.
Oh my god!
That game. That's an infuriating.
The things that get me upset to that level anymore is honestly just people that cheat.
Yeah.
Like Sharp knows I've slammed my desk on stream. Like I still do that sometimes, but not all the time. But used to.
Yeah, we played.
Like I would do it so much, my dad would just get fucking furious.
Well, it's like there's nothing worse than trying to have a competitive experience and somebody using an unfair advantage, because it robs you of the competitive experience, right? I mean, in the end, they're just points on a screen. They don't really mean anything. But if you want that feeling, like I do, I'm a competitive person, so I play competitive video games because I want that feeling of competing with people. Even though I'm not going to be the best in the world, maybe I don't have the fastest reflexes more, I don't know. But definitely I've gotten quite angry when somebody's a cheat. But nowadays I get more angry when just somebody's a dick. I can kind of get over it, but let's back it up for a second. So obviously and we're gonna get anybody in the chat room who wants to join in. We'll have you come in very quickly and give your favorites. I'd love to hear them. But there's a sort of evolution to where we are now, and then there's gonna be the next evolution of it. And we're just at this point in time that's particular that will shift again of this online gaming thing. I came in. Oh, so Austin, you're too young to have really had the arcade experience, right?
Yeah, that was nothing I ever did growing up. When I was growing up, it was like consoles, you know, like the Dreamcast and Nintendo 64. Like I think arcades were phased out by the time.
Which kind of sucks because like what was nice about it, you were in that in-between period, which is fun too. So I'd say period one was when you had arcades, right? And people would go to these arcades and it was like a sense of community, and then that became competitive gaming, and they always had the best hardware, right? Period number two was home consoles started to get better, which was great. You know, PlayStation 1, Mortal Kombat, all that stuff looked really good. And so you still had the getting together with your friends to play video games, but less so. But you could play more games, right? With your friends, with your family, etc. But I think the next phase was when it started to get online. So you grew up not necessarily online, right, Austin? You didn't?
No, I didn't start playing anything online until World of Warcraft, which is like 2004.
Wow. That's pretty incredible to me. And Erica, when did you first start doing online gaming?
I want to say 2002 or 3.
2 or 3. Yeah, I don't even know when I started. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'd say actually about the same time. I was playing StarCraft. I remember.
No, actually. Sorry, no, it was later, like 2005.
So what was the first games you remember playing online?
Actually, that's true because Counter-Strike Source came out in like 2000. So I actually the first thing I played online was 2002. Actually,
I remember.
Wrong about that.
I remember playing. Well, definitely, I was at USC. I was playing Red Alert Command & Conquer. Because if you were in college, they had the more sophisticated internet back then. Nobody really had like fast internet except colleges. So I was playing Red Alert Command & Conquer. But even in Albany, when we're talking 1991, when you're like nothing, Austin, until you're not even a real person. Maybe you were. I don't know. But in 1991, they had these things called MUDs that people would play between universities. They're all like text-based games that were online in between universities. It's wild. And I had a friend who I'm still friends with today who basically threw away his entire college career playing this game. He got so addicted. And he would be down there all day, every day. And that's I think we should move on to the World of Warcraft topic. The reason I don't play WoW, and I know you love it, and you're advocating that play, and I'm not saying I'll never play, is because when I saw my friend do that with these MUDs back then, which you guys probably have never heard of, I looked at those and I'm like, that's a life replacer. You know what I'm saying? That's a life, not a waster, but it's a replacer. It's like playing in an alternate universe for so much goddamn time that it becomes your life. And I was always scared of those because I felt like if I invested in them, I'd never stop playing. I'd be like, I'd have to be level whatever. And then I'd be like, okay, where'd the last 3 years of my life go? I could have made something. So how do you feel about it? There's a reason I don't touch them, and I know they're amazing. But how do you feel about that, Austin?
I don't think that it really makes a lot of sense because you play Overwatch probably just as much as you would that game.
Oh, absolutely. So there's a hypocrisy.
I think it's got like a stigma attached where and I was addicted to it really bad too at one time. But I had the time to do that. Like, you're an adult and you know what your priorities are, and I think you wouldn't allow it to get to such a level like that. And it's it's really just a personal choice that you make. Like I've been playing the game for over 10 years and I don't play it near as much as what I used to.
But don't you say there was
And
a
that's
time though that people, because I know I'm an obsessive person, but there was a time where a lot of people were massive. I mean, they did the South Park episode about it. Were massively addicted to it and couldn't stop because it became their life.
I think those
their social
people
life.
probably have
Other issues.
Yeah, because see, when I played the game, when I first picked up the game, it was like nothing that I'd ever seen before. Like like I've almost grew up with it because I thought the concept, of course, like back in the day, like playing games online was just kind of this really neat concept that like hadn't really happened.
Right.
And it was kind of hard to like wrap your head around how it was going to work. And like, I just thought that it was so cool that like you were in this world with all these other people and like you were running around and you could kill monsters and do all this stuff. Like I thought the concept and the idea of like meeting all these people all over the world doing this game was just crazy.
Well,
like it was just unbelievable.
No, I listen. I think there's a lot of great things about it. Like my mother's late husband, he was very into it, and he was not extremely well at the time, but he would go on about, I played with this guy who was in a wheelchair, and he's like, it was so great playing with him because he says that when he plays, he has legs, and I thought that was phenomenal. I think there's a lot of great things in it. I know a lot of people who are very into it. I don't judge it with the stigma. I just had my own worry about why I don't do it. I do everything full tilt. You know what I mean? And part of the reason
so
I play...
You're saying that with your personality type, you think that you might dive into it deeper more than someone else.
I'd be a fucking tree gnome or whatever the fuck you can be in that game. And I'd be the best tree gnome ever. I wouldn't play it all. Because I'm competitive.
I've heard a bunch of people say stuff like that. But I mean, I think it's still worth a try. I mean, the game isn't like what it used to be. Like, I mean, the classic WoW they're releasing is probably the one I'd worry about because I already know that I'm taking time off work when that comes out. But
interesting. Back
when I was younger, I mean, I used to play the game literally 14 hours a day. I mean, it was like,
wow.
I would wake up. I might have told this story before. I don't know.
Wait, let me ask you this. Did you brush your character's teeth before you brush your own?
No, I used to wake up. So like I had to go to school at like 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like 14, right? When I was like 14, 15, when I start playing the game. And I remember that I wanted to play the game so much and so bad that like I would wake up, like I had to be at school at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:15. I would wake up at 6 a.m. and like walk through the living room, get on the family computer and start playing the game. Like, and I would play until I had to go to school. And then by the time school was rolling around, I was trying to figure out how I was going to fake sick to get out. So I didn't have to, and I did that a few times. And then my dad was like, well, if you're so damn sick, son, then you don't need to be on this damn game. So you can get off this game or go to school. So he started pulling that on me, so it wasn't working anymore.
Didn't work no more?
But
by the way, OG Link in the chat room said, I've lost jobs due to some games. In fact, he's jobless now. Was it World of Warcraft? Was it World of Warcraft?
I know people like that. There are lots of people that have done that, but it's just.
Well, I think people can do that with anything, right? People can replace what they need to do in life with something that's not healthy and repetitive. I've done it. Yeah, I've done it. I think the worst type of gamer, the people I don't like to play video games with, and this used to happen in Halo too, and this happens a lot in Overwatch, which I play a lot. And for me, the worst type of people I hate playing with, I can hear it in their voice the second they come on the microphone, is that they have played this game so much because they're so fucking bored with whatever's going on or unhappy that they're using it as a way not to face the other things in their life that they need to face. But they've done it at such a fucking rate that they've gotten to a point of like their brain is numb. And they're playing something that they'd rather not be playing, but they're still playing it. And they have the voice, they're like, I'll be like, hey guys, what's up? It's like, hey.
Well, that was actually, I can actually attest to that a little bit because that's relatable to me. When I was when I was really deep into the game, I was going through a lot of stuff in my childhood. Like my parents got divorced, and I seen a lot of things, and stuff going on in between. My house burnt down during this time, and
I just want to say on camera, dude, I was laughing about something else while you were talking about this serious thing. So I want to, for the record, I'm not laughing at your parents or your house getting burned down. Please go back to what you're saying. So that's terrible. That's terrible. Let's go.
Yeah, because I woke up one day and my house was on fire, literally.
Jesus. Wow, that's terrible.
And my house pretty much almost entirely burnt to the ground, and
awful, traumatizing.
All the stuff that I was going through, like in school and all that, it was just like I used that game as a way to kind of get away from stuff. But I've met so many good people in that game. Like there's been people that I've met on World of Warcraft that I've known like 10 years plus that are some of the best friends I've ever had. Because I met them during that time, and they've just always stuck with me since then. Because and I mention that because I've had people ask me like, "Oh man, do you regret spending all that time on that game?" No, I don't, because I think that game got me through a lot of hard times, and I met a lot of good people.
Erica, have you had that experience where you've had some games get you through some tough times?
I don't know.
We
got me through.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
never. I have. I mean, tell me about some of the best times you've had with video games.
It's not the best time. I enjoyed playing Smash Brothers with my friends in college. Like freshman year of college, we played a shitload of Smash Brothers on the N64. What else? Playing Halo 2 with my friends when I first got my Xbox was pretty awesome. Playing Monster Hunter World, I made a lot of new friends playing that a couple years ago. That was really fun.
Little known fact, one of the ways I got to know Erica was she used to shoot me in the head with this fucking sniper rifle in Halo. And she would make these insane voices as she ran around the map, and I'll have her do them right now. She would kill me, and we'd have shotgun fights. And what would you sound like? Which one?
Oh, we got the shotgun. Hey, Jeskidding. Shot in the fucking head. Boom, you're dead, motherfucker.
Yes, basically. And you go... And she was quite good at killing me, and that kind of was very disturbing, because me as a very proud man was not used to being sniped by a very wild, insane woman. So that's how we met and started working on projects together, was me being shot in the fucking head. It was amazing. So... Erica worked in video games for a while. She worked for Rockstar for 6 years. We're not going to talk anything about Rockstar in particular, but she has a lot of sort of history with video games. Now, what made you want to work in the video game industry?
Honestly, it goes back to East, because I was like, I like this game. I think I want to think, and this is before I knew anything about what it meant to work in another country. It's like, I want to make video games in Japan one day. And
you don't want to do that anymore, right?
Absolutely not.
Why is that?
Because the labor practices are awful, and for about, in my opinion, the past like 10 years, I think Japanese developers have been struggling. I think like Bayonetta was kind of like a start. You know, you had blips here and there, but you had like Capcom started to falter with some of their games. Like they started pulling some weird shit with like Street Fighter, like releasing like half the game, and then you had to pay like, I remember it was Street Fighter 4 when it first came out. We're like, oh, cool, there's going to be an expansion for Super Street Fighter, and it's going to be like $10, and you get more characters, and then it never came out. And then a year and a half later, it's like, it's $60 for like 5 new characters. I'm like, what? And they just really were not innovating anymore. And I think a year or two ago, in my opinion, like when Capcom came out with Monster Hunter World, and then they had Resident Evil 7, and then Resident Evil 2 Remake came out, and then Devil May Cry, as dumb as it is, it's really fun. But overall, like, the labor practices, number 1 in Japan, no thank you. Number 2 being a woman. Number 3 being an American woman. They're like, oh, that's cute. Got Gaijin, why don't you go sit down at your desk? We don't care what you think.
So if you could make a game, right? Because you worked, like I said, you work in the gaming industry, right? And you obviously love video games your whole life. If you could make a game, or several, what would your first game be? Without giving us the details of the game itself, because I don't want you to share your ideas. But what would be what genre? What kind of things do you like? Like what kind of? How would you? What would be the thing you would craft, and what would you want somebody else to get out of it?
I would want to do like an action adventure game. I wouldn't but something basic, because I think what happens, and obviously I'd have to start as an independent developer, unless I got on with another big developer, but we're not going to talk about that. But just something that's fun, that's really well polished, and even if it's basic, I just want people to have fun. And it's one of those things where, like, if it's a game I enjoy playing, hopefully other people will like it too. But I want to, like I said, one day I would love to do an action adventure, hack and slash. I want to do a shmup, or it's called a shoot 'em up, because I don't really think that genre is as prevalent as it used to be. I know you get your little you get your little blips of shmups here and there, but something with really good music and just a overall cool theme and kind of a challenging game to play, and then some kind of an action adventure role playing game I would like to make. And by I say make, I mean I do all the concept art, and somebody who's really good at programming can do all the programming, because I wanna have the baby. I don't want to raise it.
That's hilarious. So Nana asked in the chat room, said the best favorite game is Last of Us, which I enjoy very much as well, but also Red Dead Redemption 2. Do you have any voices in Red Dead Redemption 2, OC Diva?
I don't know if they kept in some of my voice work, but when you're riding the horse, that's me.
So yes, every time you've heard the horse, Nana going, that's Erica here, OC Diva. Hilarious as that is, and
actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, right. And plenty of screaming voices, I believe, in Grand Theft Auto 5 as well. I think so.
Max Payne. I actually did motion capture in Grand Theft Auto 5, and I had a character modeled after me in Grand Theft Auto 5, and I did the voice pack for one of the Punchinello girls in Max Payne 3.
There you go.
And I got that role because I played Gears of War with my then director, and he laughed at all the insane shit I said, so that's how I got a voice role in Max Payne 3.
Which is amazing. Everybody, OC Diva, Erica's a great artist. So, and part of, like, for me, talking about gaming as art, right? Or as a sort of another version of storytelling. You know, gaming's interesting to me because gaming is both storytelling, but yeah, it's just, there's so many versions of it, right? It can be storytelling, it can be challenging, it can be social, right? It can be, you know, puzzle solving. There's just so many things that you can do with it. I don't think you can say video games without sort of having one experience. Don't you agree? I mean, it's for everybody, it's kind of different. Like for me, it's a competitive experience mixed with a social experience. I want to find a game. I'm switching my stream because I stream video games. I want to find games that I can both be social, where I can meet new people a lot and sort of have the social aspect, but have fun, and maybe replace some of the competitive part of it. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's a need for that. More like
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft. Look at you. Look at you. Interesting.
Well,
I'm telling you, that's it, man. Like, it's relax and chill, and you can kick back and have a little bit of music on. There's lots of opportunity to interact with people, a lot nicer community.
Well, definitely. I mean, the one game I play is making me kind of insane. Nana said, I think video games represent the best form of storytelling. I don't know if they represent the best form. They're certainly the most interactive form of storytelling, but I think that films and TV and all those other things present much more of a singular point of view. You know, and that allows you to see something from a different perspective, somebody else's perspective. One of the things I didn't like about video games sometimes growing up was that when they were too immersive, is that, like, they don't allow a lot of room for your imagination. They fill in so much that you don't really get to mentally contribute. Like when you're reading a book, you're watching a film, there's so much left out that you have to sort of imagine the in-between moments. Does that make sense? Whereas in a video game, it seems like it's very fleshed to where you're just more not on rails, but you're piloting somebody else's ride. in some ways. That's why I really like that gaming grandma lady. I haven't seen a lot of her, but she's a streamer as well. And that she would, well, yeah, that's her name. And she would like create stories within it that were her own. She basically took it, and I guess that's what people are doing with Grand Theft Auto role playing and shit. I just have no fucking interest in that because Rockstar's Rockstar. So bye. So anyway, moving on from here. So let's talk about the switch from arcade to home consoles and then to onlines. And where do you sort of see this going? So actually, I'm going to switch gears for a second. And hello, ma'am. How are you? Ma'am is in my chat room. Hello, ma'am. What do you think some of the negative side of video games are? Austin or OC Diva, just feel free to just jump in at any time, guys. Like I feel like I'm like calling on the kid in the back. It's awkward. I don't want to do it.
This is something I think that there's been a huge culture shift as far as like general attitudes and community goes. Like, and this is something that me and Jesse's probably going to go on forever about, but it's just the community has changed more than anything. Like I remember, and I played in some of the highest competitive stuff that there was, and I remember that trash talk was so rare that when it happened, it was like a really big deal. Like if one guild was talking trash to another, like on your server, like everyone knew about it. It just wasn't the norm, so it was talked about a lot. I mean, there was always toxicity and like, there's people that ruin everybody's time everywhere, no matter what. It's never perfect, but it wasn't like what it is now where, for example, the other day when you were playing and you said, hey guys, do you mind if I do shot calls for the team? And then this guy just immediately rude and
it was shit on me.
Like, why? And it's like back then that probably wouldn't have happened.
I think that the anonymity of it helps. People just be like, I'm just going to be an asshole. But then again, people on Facebook that are not anonymous, on Twitter that are not really all that anonymous, feel like you're not going to reach out and touch them. So they just go off on you for no reason at all. They're just angry, sad people. And that is, it's not just that, I think it's been there for a while, but I think that people are much more free to just be a dick. I think being a troll became popular. And I think that as the online experience grew, I think that people took it as a celebration to be an asshole. And Erica probably has a worse experience than me. I mean, you're as a woman online from the very beginning, obviously. And, you've probably had quite a few very negative experiences over the years, and not just recently. Was that accurate?
Trolling is, sorry to jump in, but trolling is not what people think it is. Trolling has this connotation now where that people think trolling is being a dick. It's not trolling. Trolling was basically like a rib. It's a joke. Like you're ribbing people. That's trolling. Like that's what it used to be. Like I used to tell people that trolling was an art form. It used to be an art form. It's like basically a really clever way to rib somebody. People think trolling now is just being a dick. Like that's not what trolling is. Like that's what it is now, I guess, to like people in today's culture, but that's not what it was back in the day.
I've never heard your definition of it. I've always considered somebody who trolls to just be an asshole. Always. I mean, I made a video about it in 2009. Trolls were people who were like, somebody would die and they would go to their page on Facebook or whatever and be like, oh, I'm glad you're dead. Your son's dead. And like, I mean, that's how I've always understood it. But I want Erica. So what has it been like? I don't want to have too long of a conversation, but this part of talking about video games is that are there games you won't play, or has it always from the beginning been hard? I guess maybe it's gotten easier over the years, or has it gotten worse being a woman in gaming, playing games?
Well, Well, I had bad experiences in the arcade one time. Like I was playing Tekken 3 and I was beating the shit out of these bunch of hood rats in Tekken, not in real life. And one of them a couple of them spit in my hair, and one of them spit a toothpick in my hair. And there was 5 of them, and I was this tiny 16-year-old girl. I wasn't gonna do anything. So, and it's just because I was beating them at a video game. I wasn't saying anything or doing anything bad. I just beat them at a video game, and they started spitting on me.
Yeah, ego's the fucking bitch, isn't it? Sad.
And then when online stuff started, it was when I started playing. There weren't very many women playing Halo 2. There's some, but one of 2 things happened, or 3 things would happen when they found out I was a woman. Like, oh, you're a girl. Go back to the kitchen. I'm like, oh, here it comes. Like, and I would just wait. It's like, all right. Somebody's gonna say go back to the kitchen. Somebody's gonna say I'm a fat lesbian, and then somebody's gonna actually like be cool and white knight a little bit.
Right.
But it was mainly go back to the kitchen or fat lesbian. I didn't realize that playing video games made me a fat lesbian. But then I would just tell them, I was like, don't be mad that I get more pussy than you. That's right. I'm a fat right. lesbian. And then when people would be like, hey, go back to the kitchen, I'm like, right, I don't need a driver's license either because there's no road from the oven to your cock, right?
Yeah.
And they'd be like,
See, Erica finally has her moment to be Erica. Ladies and gentlemen, Erica.
So... yeah, that's basically
I remember Erica telling somebody playing Halo, he said something to her, and she's like, oh, she tried to flirt with her. He's like, oh, you want me to come over and shit in your mouth? She said to him. I'm like, holy shit. This is a fucking crazy person.
That's got to be one of the funniest things I've heard in a long time.
Well,
someone said that to you?
Yeah.
That's
so
that's really good. I'm sorry. It's wrong, but good.
No, but that's when I say, go back to the kitchen. Like I said, it just let me guess, because there's I don't need a driver's license because there's no road.
I think with girls online, like things that I've noticed, and like girls that I'm friends with, there's 3 different kinds of guys you're going to deal with. It's the really, really sexist guys that tell you to get back to the kitchen, and then the guys that are going to white knight because the guys are picking on the girl, and then the weird ones that think you're really pretty and then don't leave you alone.
Which one am
I?
Which one of those am I?
You're all 3.
Obviously. I'm the guy that both loves you and won't leave you alone. It's like a stalker.
Like, get in the kitchen, but I love you.
Yeah, but when you get in the kitchen, I'm going to follow you into the kitchen, and then when you leave, I'm going to follow you around the house because I'm sick.
No, but
what?
Then you'll say, "Oh, get in the kitchen because you make really delicious food and you're good at video games." That's what you would say.
What do you call it? Let me scroll up, go to the chat room for a second. OG said, to me, certain achievements that I have accomplished playing video games have made me have a god complex to where I felt like I was generally better than somebody because of my rank on a video game. Yeah, dude, a lot of us go through that. And that's a common thing. I can't tell you how many times I play these games and these kids are like, you're trash because you're blah. You know, I'm like, yo, it's a fucking number on a screen, bro. There is no hierarchy here. It is amazing and sad that... skill levels in games have made us feel like we have more or less value in the world. And they convince us of that. And that's, I think, where, like, video games, the negative side of video games, we talked about that for a second, it can trick your brain into thinking that you're better off than you are, or you're a better status, or you're even better off in accomplishment. The reason I never played Warcraft for a while is that I know if I played too much of those kind of games, I would replace life accomplishments with faux accomplishments in these games. And I have with Overwatch, obviously. You know, but I stream it, so I use it as an excuse. But in my brain, it's like, oh, I got this rank. And what does that mean? Like 5 years from now, who's going to give a shit about that rank? Nobody. So it's like high school. Who cares who was the prom queen? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. That's the lady who's usually... the ugliest in 10 years. Trust me. I'm sorry if you were the prom queen out there. My fault. My bad. Maybe you were not the ugliest. But usually, it doesn't turn out well because it's like a fucking cliff. Anyway, all right. So let's get on to the topic here. So those are the negatives. Let's get people, if anybody wants to join us in the Discord, just go into the Discord. Swirlfire's in now. We're going to bring him in, and he's going to be basically roasted by OC Diva Erica. That's her name. And Austin, we're going to roast this guy too, because we like him. So we're going to judge everything he says. We're going to rate his thing. So Swirl, you're coming in 3, 2, 1. Swirl, you're here. Can you hear me?
Oh, hold up.
Uh-oh. You got it brought in too early. He's in the middle of fucking completing a Legend of Zelda level or something.
Jerry, be sure you come in here. Where's Jerry?
Jerry wants to. Jerry's gonna go. Jerry's driving. And OG in the chat room is about to go into a casino. So Genetic Gamer, by the way, said he didn't go to prom. No worries, dude. I didn't really go either. I went to the after party because I did fuck that. I'm not spending $300 to sit at a table. That's not happening. All right. So Misery wants to talk as well. So we're gonna bring Misery in here. Misery, how are you? Misery, can you hear us?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
I was hearing you twice, and I was like,
to make sure, ladies and gentlemen, to turn your radio down. Oh, wait, this isn't the radio, it's the internet. So, Misery, tell us what your favorite games are so we can judge you harshly.
I would have to pick, like systems, because, like, on the Xbox, I have, or, like, consoles, I have a favorite game, and on PCs, I have a favorite game.
Well, just list them off. Tell us.
Okay. So, right now, some of my favorite games are Bastion.
Interesting. What is that?
By Supergiant Games. It's the whole entire game is painted. Like all the graphics are painted first.
Whoa, sounds interesting. I'm gonna write that one down.
The story is really, really creative and interesting. And
is it an indie game?
It is an indie game. It has really like good, complete, like storyline, and you really connect to the characters, and it's very emotional and funny and
Bastion.
And like exciting. Both Bastion and their follow-up game, Transistor, were both really, really enjoyable.
Is that your baby, Swirlfire, by the way?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just to make sure, because I mean, I'm like Misery.
Not my baby.
Why the fuck are you crying? Seriously, you know, you're a lesbian, so how does that work out? Maybe it's not. It's possible.
I can tell you how it works.
No, I'm good. I think we'll spare. We're talking about video games here. So you're into indie games. So I know other people indie games too. I've played a few that I like. Erica has a favorite. What's your favorite indie game? You told me about that.
Oh, Echo.
Echo. Right? What did you say?
I think I bought that game.
Did you say?
No, it's on my wish list.
I was almost trying to make a joke,
Go
and you were gonna say Echo. I was gonna go what? Sorry.
Oh,
so Echo is a good game, right? And so, do you think it's important to try to find and spend the time researching indie games to try to help that community? Anybody, feel free to take the point.
Yeah.
Say the question again.
Do you think it's important to try to seek out indie games that aren't popular, maybe, and try to find ones that really speak to you?
I don't know if it's necessarily important, but I've done that, and I've found that I enjoy the game a whole lot more. And that's really the goal, is to be entertained, honestly.
So
like,
what do you... I'm sorry, I want to stick with that. Yeah. So what do you think, Austin, what would you say the goal of playing a game is for you? If you had to take a... What's the goal? Austin, are you here? All right, let's pass it over to Erica. Erica, what's the goal in playing a game for you? When you sit down and play a game?
Well, I mean, I guess you just ask yourself why you play certain games. Like, do you play it just to unwind your brain from work? Do you play it because it's a certain studio and you like their art style, for the music? Like, I think overall for me, like, there's some games that serve a purpose. Like, if I really want to play like an immersive narrative game, like stuff like The Witcher or a Fallout game or Skyrim, or like Dragon's Dogma, like those are like time sinks. But I have stuff like Devil May Cry where I just want to play a couple levels and see how many points I can get in a combo and kind of just zone out. Or a game like Echo, which is like a combination of it's a puzzle game, it's a stealth game, like it's a really gorgeous, well-produced art piece with an interesting narrative and really fucking awesome music. Like you really want to get into a game and digest it. Like that's how I look at Echo.
Well, I feel like
so
I'm sorry. You had something else?
No, you're
good. No, I feel like for me the goal is it's completely the opposite, and I wish I had more of what you guys are talking about, because I find that most games for me, minus set pieces, like big atmosphere pieces like Fallout or Last of Us. Most games for me are not experiences, but a way to not relax my brain, but a way to sort of hyper it. In other words, like play a competitive environment, get my brain moving quicker. You know what I'm saying? Like get in there and sort of go into like supercharged mode while I'm doing it. And I think, and I kind of wish, I'm kind of jealous of you guys that I don't relax as much playing video games. And I'm trying to find the games that will do that for me. That like I started playing Titanfall 2 and I just got bored. You know, whereas like because I need that competitive spirit in it. I'm sort of trained for that.
So you like adrenaline?
I do. I'm an adrenaline junkie for sure. And I kind of wish that I had more games that I was just like I felt were personal to me. I feel like there's a lot of games that they're just universal to everybody else, and I'm just like, I'm bored. I guess get bored.
Well, MMOs have a competitive part too. Sorry about earlier, by the way. I heard my phone ringing a bunch, and I thought it might be an emergency.
It was Jeff Kaplan. Yes, please continue. So, yeah, MMOs have a competitive environment. Okay.
They do. Like, you know, there's Mythic raiding, you know, which is like basically the highest difficulty of raids you can do.
Right.
Arenas and like PvP is not really active the same anymore, but I focus on PvE because it's challenging and you know it's a teamwork thing. Like what's cool about that is you meet these group of people, you know, you like this group of people, and it's basically 24 other guys and girls that you can hang out with and, you know, share stories and shoot the crap. And, you know, you work together to down these bosses, and generally everyone is like, you know, really excited and happy and works with each other. And it's like,
I think it's a way better dynamic. You and Erica share that because she plays Monster Hunter, which I think is similar in those ways of you have to work together, you have to be a team to get something done. I'm not as used to, well, actually I play a competitive environment. I have to do it all the time. I just want to find ways. For me, it's either a way to overstimulate or to escape something else. I used to play this mod for StarCraft called Marine Arena. And man, I still miss it because it was fucking crack. I love this thing so much. And in fact, I used to break my StarCraft disc just so I could never play it again. I was so addicted to it. And then I'd go buy a new one or I'd find a copy. And then it was literally crack for me, this Marine Arena. And it's still out there. I can still find it. And every once in a while I'll go back and maybe I'll play it on stream one day. It's like, it's so fucking intense. It's like League of Legends with like 1 million guys dying every 2 seconds. So... But for me, I would do that in the beginning because I found it so visually stimulating and so like auditorially stimulating and competitive. But more so eventually it just became a way to sort of escape doing other things, like escaping depression by jamming the fucking airwaves in my brain. And I'm really just listening to you guys and the things that you like, and Erica and Austin and Misery. I really want to find games that I can just chill, you know what I'm saying, too. And relate to in a very different way. I think it's just I have to sort of change my brain before I play those games. So
I think you're worrying too much about
me.
What's going to happen. Yeah, like I think
get out of here.
I think you need to just give it a try, and you're going into it knowing the kind of personality you have, and just set your limits.
Oh, that's a problem. Erica, am I good at setting limits for myself? We know each other pretty well.
Sometimes, like, I have to tease you about this. I remember I tried to get you to play Monster Hunter World, and you quit after like
10 minutes,
an hour and a half. I'm like, God damn it!
It's like it's like usually the most expensive $60 I spend is I'll play something for like 20 minutes, and that's it. I quit immediately.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's interesting. Like, I couldn't get you to play Monster Hunter, which was like more of a relaxing like co-op game, but then you'll go and you'll play Overwatch and you'll get so fucking pissed and you'll play it for like 8 hours. I'm like, what the fuck? This is a fun game. You just gotta give it a chance.
I think I'm like a guy with his fucking what do you call it? Like not Snuggie, the little kid version of Wubby blanket. Or whatever the fuck. And I just need that thing. I need my Wubby. It's the same shit. I need the same thing over and over, or the crazy will get me. You know what I'm saying? It's what I'm scared of. Working in the chat room said, "Is it bad to change your brain though?" No, it's not bad. It's good.
Okay,
I need to. I need this.
so-
This is every fucking episode of this thing starts off with a topic and ends up as therapy for me. So we know this already. Let's get to it. Let's
I'm
cut
gonna
to the
treat this
chase.
I'm gonna treat this like since it's like therapy apparently.
please.
Treat it like an addiction. So you really love adrenaline.
Yes, I do.
So why don't you play a game that's competitive,
Hmm.
that you work as a team,
Yes.
but it's turn-based. So you slow down the game.
I don't know, bro. I don't
And
know.
then-
I don't know if I
I
can
mean,
handle
why
that.
not
And
just
then you
play
let it-
both games?
And
just
then
play.
it's still exciting and it's still enthralling, but everything gets slowed down a bit.
Sounds like masturbation.
Oh my god.
All right, so let's go to Swarfire.
I mean-
Swarfire with his baby at his arm. Swarfire, tell us your
Shoot.
favorite games, my dude.
Man, to be completely honest, like the first thing I ever really got attached to was Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
I remember that game.
Do you need a safe space when you play it? Sorry, go ahead.
Of
oh my
course.
god.
Sorry.
And like that's like everything I played after that, like nothing ever really got to me until I got to LucasArts games, point and click adventure like Monkey Island and Full Throttle, and that's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted was point and click. Nothing could ever feel that kind of I don't know. I guess that's my
That's your jam.
excitement. Is
That's your jam.
yeah. And then Halo came out, and then I completely contradicted myself for the rest of my life, and I just couldn't play anything else.
I think my problem with Halo, I'm going to be frank about it, was I loved the first one, but I felt that so much of it was so derivative of other things that had been repackaged for your generation that I kind of took exception to it. And I felt that the third and fourth, the storytelling got so poor that I just didn't I didn't worship it. I just didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? But I love the multiplayer aspect of it because it was first of its kind, but I knew it wasn't the best of its kind. I just felt it presented itself in that way. But that's just me. If people love it and they love everything associated with this and that.
I'm just really glad that you chose to be Frank there and not Tim, because he's a douchebag.
Fair enough. JJ in the chat room says, any game that requires teamwork will be toxic and it will piss you off, but that's the fun of it. And maybe you're right. Wading through pissed off people and getting them to work together can be very rewarding, and I kind of love doing that. But there is a limit to it, and I think lately I've kind of hit the limit with those people because you hit that impasse with a very particular type of people. And there's one thing I can't stand to be around. I can stand to be around toxicity, but apathy. Apathy is like I said, it's like that thing where people play the game too much and they just don't even care about the thing that they're doing at the moment. I don't want to play that. I mean, I actually walked away from a game the other day, and I never do that. I was just like, I don't want to spend my time being around people who I don't want to spend my time being around. Yeah, exactly. Who'll make that voice? Oh my God, they all have the same voice, right, Erica? They're like, hey.
Okay, we
Yeah.
can do that.
Yeah,
Oh,
fuck
okay,
you.
you want a shot call?
Yeah, fine.
You're not playing the game right.
Yeah, can you stop, please? Fuck you. Oh yeah, all I hear is fuck, suck a dick. You know what I really like too? I really like this game. God, it was a tower defense game. You were played at night. There was like two of them, something versus zombies. It wasn't
Plants vs.
No, it wasn't
Zombies.
Plants
Orcs
versus
Must
Zombies.
Die.
Orcs Must Die. I fucking loved Orcs Must Die. That game was
that's a
really
funny
fun.
game.
That was amazing. And these are the kind of games I'd stream. So let's talk about streaming for a second. The culture that's evolved around video games. And what's your opinion of this sort of like? I never understood it. So I'm going to be honest. Before I started streaming, I'm going to say something terrible, but it is what it is. I could not figure out why anybody would watch anybody else play a video game instead of just playing it themselves. So here I am hypocritically streaming for other people to watch me play a video game. Now I understand it because I've participated in it more. It's more about the personality. It's interesting to see how their brain works. But in the beginning, I didn't understand at all.
Jessica,
Yes.
do you have siblings?
Why do you ask? I feel like
Do
I'm
they
being
ever
set up.
play video games?
Why do you ask?
Because like legitimately, when I was a kid, my older brother, would play video games, and I it was his turn to use the computer or his turn to use the Atari, and so I would have to watch.
And Erica,
So
you grew up with
part
this
of
too,
the-
right? The same thing.
So then part of the like enjoyment was like, you know, giving him advice and like, oh, try this thing, and like being excited for him, or being like, you know, seeing the intricacies, or like trying to help him find the thing or
She
whatever.
backseat gated him.
Yeah.
Game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically.
and he would get annoyed sometimes, and sometimes he'd be like, "Oh, thank you," and blah blah blah. But
I was the
but then,
youngest
like,
of four.
but then we would switch places. Like he would play for an hour, then I would play for an hour, and he would sit in the back seat too.
I can
So
see
it
that.
was
So
like-
I get that. And look, I play with my friends
Watching was,
too. Yeah.
you know, an enjoyable part because
Sure.
you know, it made us feel like we were working together on solving a problem.
I mean, Erica has a big brother, and so do I. And I guess like consoles were things in my family that you would fight over. It wasn't like I'm gonna watch you play. It was like, fuck you, get out. It's my turn. That's my experience. But then my friends, we'd all play together, and that was awesome. So maybe it's that, right? Maybe it's like hanging out with my friends. And you're right, that was awesome. I did like hanging out with my friends. Yeah, I have an older brother, 3.5 years. Erica, you went through that too. Obviously, don't say anything bad about your brother. You never would.
No,
obviously.
no. I have a funny story because I was the annoying little sister of my poor brother. He got a TurboGrafx 16, and I was like 12, and I used to like beg him to let me play it. But most of the time, when he would go out for the night, he would lock his bedroom door because he knew annoying little sister, which was me, would go in and play his video games in his room. So it got to the point where I picked a lock to his bedroom so I could play the games when he would go out.
Nice.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Damn.
Remember, we more my time period of life was actually more arcades. So you would watch other people play in the arcades. But for me, arcades got really dangerous. I remember my brother went to the arcade. He would go to the arcades too. He wasn't obsessed with video games like I was, but like a kid would come up to him and be like, "Yo, blah blah blah," say something, and then show them their gun. Like that's how it was.
Oh my god.
It was crazy.
Oh yeah.
It was
They become,
fucking
like-
crazy.
I've never had that experience.
Even when I grew up in Ohio, like because the arcades were dark, so people would go in there to sell drugs.
Drugs,
and this
yeah.
was like
Drugs.
this is like in 2000, maybe 2000, 2001. It was called Aladdin's Castle.
Oh God. So
Eh.
it sounds like fucking a heroin, drug infested den already. Please continue.
Well, eventually, but no, it just when I was still playing, this is when before the consoles got to be really powerful. Like the PlayStation 1, you could play kind of a shitty looking version of Tekken 3, but when I went off to art school and then I came back, like the arcades were just it was gone. It was like, oh yeah, it just became like a fucking drug dealing den, and apparently they're doing prostitution out of there too. I'm like, oh, that's okay. Talk about a slot machine.
Jeez, oh my God. Instead of Pac-Man, it's Fat Man or something. I don't know.
Fat or fuck man.
Fuck Man, yeah, that's the easiest way to, or Cock Man, right? Or something. Anyway, all right, so let's talk about the next iteration. And to be working in the chat room asked me, what's your opinion on taking drugs and playing video games at the same time? I don't know. It depends on the drug. You know, hello, Al. How are you, dude? Depends on the drug. So I'm not a big sports game guy. I know, like, Al, my friend in the chat room, he plays a lot of sports game. I've never been into it. My friends are obsessed with, like, NHL 2K and all that stuff. I've never done it. Somebody else mentioned Monkey Island. I've never played Monkey Island. There's so many games. So how do you choose, like, what to play? That's kind of the problem I have now. There's, like, an infinite fucking library of things that I could do. How do I choose?
That's why I started out with buying really cheap games or like really on sale games that looked interesting. So that way, you know, you figure out like, oh, there's these types of elements that were really interesting. And this is why I like Steam a lot, because it brings them all together a lot easier. And then you play it a little bit and maybe you didn't like it, but it cost you like $1. So you know that there's certain elements about that you like, but there's other things that you didn't like. So you find a new game, and it's like, oh, well, it has these elements, it has those elements, and get reviews from people and like actually read some of those stuff. It's really good.
I
But
feel
that's how I figured out.
well, now that I'm like searching in my memory for the past, I remember liking like not Baldur's Gate, but like those kind of Bard's Tale. I loved like little RPGs and.
Yeah.
I love like similar. Al mentioned simulation games. I played SimCity for a little while. Like,
Well, so if you like the old arcade type games.
I love them.
Like hack and slash kind of game.
Some of them.
I would suggest Hammer Watch.
Hammer, you have to make a list for me after the podcast. I'm forgetting half of it.
I'll write this.
Yeah, you know me. I remember shit. So I want to get to the next.
Hammer Watch is enjoyable.
It's good, huh? So the next thing I want to talk about, and I want to hear what your opinion on it. We have what, 3 people in here still? 4 people in here. Crew Misery is okay. The next, this is a hot button topic. I'm sure 5 years now we'll look back at this and laugh. But Stadia took a even bigger stance today. So with Stadia and Microsoft xCloud and whatever Sony's version of that is, where games will now be streamed so you don't have to have a high-end PC and this and that, but you have to be connected to a high-speed connection, I guess, to play with others. What's your opinion, guys? What do you think? Anybody?
What, Stadia?
Yeah, what do you think of the idea of having to be always online to play these games with other people? I'm not saying it's good or bad. You know, I have a distinct opinion too.
Don't like it.
You don't like it. Why don't you like it?
I like having the option because sometimes, like, being online all the time kind of like it makes you have to feel like you have to be on presentation all the time. And like sometimes, like Overwatch, I can just mute myself or whatever, but I still have to like deal with people. And sometimes I just want to play a game where I am
so just
separated from everybody else, and I can just be in my own world.
That makes complete sense. Just for the chat room, so what Stadia is, and xCloud will probably be, is that basically all of the rendering of the game that you're playing occurs on the server side, and it's streamed to you like a video with extremely low latency. So you're just playing it through a browser or something else, as opposed to firing up an Xbox or a computer. But to do so, you need a high-speed internet connection. I have to assume at some point that they would do an offline mode for some games, just like they do their YouTube videos.
Yeah, well, I mean, like
maybe no, but actually no, you wouldn't have the power to do it. I'm sorry,
It controls people ability to play, so like they have everything in their grasp. If they want to like not provide it to you anymore, you don't get it. But like you have the solid, like, I mean, Steam is kind of dangerous in this way too, because it's like its own platform.
Aren't we already kind of there though? What do you think?
But like you can buy the video game and you get the the key or whatever, and it's like it's your game. You can play it when you want to, and they can't take it away from you after you've purchased it.
But if it's an online game now,
and
it has no single player mode. Right? If it's already an online game and there is no single-player mode, like you couldn't play it offline, and there's like World of Warcraft is one of those, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't play those.
and they shut down the service. They still control it. It's already. I think we're already there with a lot of games. What do you think, Erica?
I mean, what is it? You get the whole games as a service thing, but I mean, in hindsight, whenever we quote unquote buy a game, we're not actually buying the game, we're buying a license to play the game. So that's where like no reverse engineering and none of these things. It's because you're purchasing a license. I don't know what the state of consoles is going to be in the next 10 years, to be honest with you, because I think Stadia is a really, really good idea. Because it kind of, it's going to have its pros and its cons, and I have a feeling it's going to be a bumpy release just because it's a new thing, and not saying that Google's incompetent, it's just a new thing. And like there's gonna be good and bad. Like you will be able to play whatever games are licensed, because that's also the thing you have to consider is like old games you want to play as kids. It's all a licensing thing. So say Google gets a license for X amount of games, and you have Microsoft and Sony gets a license for X amount of games. So you might be limited in online gaming unless there's some kind of a new universal licensing thing that comes out. But I think the thing that I'm most fascinated by is it actually frees you from needing to buy a physical console, and you don't need to have the most cutting edge computer to play a game. Or you can play on you just take one of the Chromecast Ultras, and if it works like they say it will, and you plug it into a TV and you get to play. That's it. But as far as like a publisher, or I don't know what they're gonna call, I guess maybe they'll call it a platform, whatever platform you play on, like it's either at the developer's control or the publisher's control. Like somebody's always gonna have the keys. Like there's games I like that just are not supported anymore, like Diablo 2. It's not supported anymore, but I can still play it with limited functionality and everything. But it's still there. But it's just a lot of the functionality is no longer active. But I think it's interesting. I don't think VR is gonna take off in gaming. I really don't think it's really going to be a thing. I think that's going to be for medical and military like simulations and stuff. But I like the idea of not needing a strong PC and not needing a console. I
do too. And people hate it. Some people hate it.
Well, here's the thing that's funny. People hated the idea of digital games. Like when they announced it for Microsoft, everybody was so fucking angry.
I don't get to get a physical copy which just has a digital version of it on it.
Yeah, and their biggest thing was like, I can't share games with my friends. I'm like, you probably okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but most games are digital sales now because people got tired of games selling out or having to go and try and get a game at midnight, or as soon as like they got into work, they'd have to go and grab the game on lunch if they were lucky, and like it just became really annoying. Now you're like, oh, I can like totally sit here and just buy a digital copy, like, because I don't want to clutter my apartment with like physical stuff, and I don't really get that many. For me, I don't get that many collector's editions anymore. But I think there's a lot of positives that can come with this. Yes, there is always the fear that somebody's going to get greedy, but the idea that it's so inexpensive to subscribe to Stadia, and who knows, maybe they'll start raising prices at some point when they start getting more publishers on board. But the fact that they also give you the option to just get one game instead of subscribing to the service, I think is neat.
It's pretty cool. Al in the chat room said, I got tired of not being able to sell the physical disc. I kind of get that. I kind of see that was kind of a loss, was the inability to financially transfer your license to somebody else. And I get that's one of the things, that's one of the negs of where this thing went. I'm going to pull Grave, and Grave is also...
I personally prefer the being able to buy things online. You know, like you don't got to make a trip to the store. You don't have a game disc or anything to keep track of.
Me too.
You just have it.
Yeah, and if I have my laptop with Steam on it, or I go to my friend's house, I can log into my Steam account and play the same game. It's not like I can't
download it on any computer, anywhere. You just have it.
And Grave, hello. Grave is in the chat room with us from merry old England, I believe. Grave, are you there?
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. Good evening. Yeah. Something. He's in a different time zone. Grave, I'm going to get to you in a second. I just want to make a quick point about Stadia for a second. What I like about it that I think people are not seeing, and I'm always about new forms of storytelling, because that's what I'm a filmmaker. I've done this my whole life, and I continue. I will do it until I'm fucking dead, hopefully. So what I love about what Stadia and Project X and all that shit are going to do, potentially, what the potential is in there, is I saw one thing on their announcement today that was the most interesting thing to me. It wasn't just the game. It was like Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, whatever. It was like the guy was in the forest with his guns, and he was with his squad, and there were 3 windows inside the game with the viewpoints of the other soldiers. And I thought that was the coolest fucking thing, because that said to me, like, because they are so good at streaming other video, that you can switch perspectives, that you could hand another player controls to your game easily. Because it's just, they're all just compressing all the other stuff at the same time for that game. And they can make that accessible to anybody at any time. I mean, think of it, you could have video games that are actually working with real life shit, because it just encoded video, right? And because it's all coming from their servers, they can combine it in ways that just have never been seen before. That's what I'm most fascinated about. I think there's going to be functionality that you just can't get on consoles and PCs, because there's no way to take what's happening completely on your side and deliver it to the other person. But because everything's happening server side, it works. So, Grave, how are you? Tell us what you think of any of this, your favorite video games. Mr. UK himself, Mr. Graves.
Mr. UK, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're representing at the moment. We sent Donald Trump over there, and we got you.
Yeah. Actually, he was quite close, visiting quite close to where I reside.
Amazing.
Academically.
Amazing.
I mean, I didn't see the honorable president, but it certainly was brought a big hype over here. Anyway, I don't want to sort of bog down talking about politics over video games. Let's be honest. But I mean, just to sort of add further for this to sort of the cloud gaming experience. I've actually been interested in it a long time, and it's not that new of a concept. It's been around since sort of the early 2000s, surprisingly. I can't remember who started it, but leading up to today, I'm quite excited for the new Google project.
Yeah, me too. Stadia, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. I think that moving we're not quite there yet in terms of sort of full 4K streaming experience. We're not that close in terms of that retrospect, because simply we don't have the sort of hardware. The common person doesn't have, the common consumer, not the common person, that's wrong for me to say, but the common consumer.
Are you calling us commoners in your accent? That sounds terrible. Like, I don't appreciate that.
Yeah. Someone said that to me before, and I felt really bad, but it's literally not what it sounds like.
Erica, you're one of the common people. I just want to tell you.
I am.
Yes, you are very common.
I count with my fingers and toes.
Yeah, but the person before me basically summed up everything I wanted to say. It's generally a good idea. It takes away limitations of hardware, especially for the average consumer. So it gives the opportunity for everyone to experience the best quality.
Yeah. So no more fucking PC Master Race and all that bullshit to hold over. Listen, I run a 2080 in my house, which is way better than most people will be able to have. But I don't.
It's better than my own eyes.
Yeah, exactly. But you have bad vision. But I don't really know what your vision is like. But my point is that I don't lord it over people. There are a lot of people who do. It's just a way to feel superior. Oh, look, I have a fancier fucking gaming experience than you do. And it's nice that everybody with that stream will have the same gaming experience. I love that. Then it's going to be like I've got a bigger internet connection dick or something. I don't know. That's the next level.
I'm hoping some good sort of rivalry between Google and Microsoft as well.
Oh, it's going to happen. It's happening.
Microsoft unveiled their Project X Cloud obviously last year.
Right.
So they're going to do all their stuff with their Azure cloud services. So I'm really interested in because Sony and Microsoft sort of did an agreement to co-develop these solutions. Right. So it's going to be. They teamed up.
They did like.
I can't wait.
They did like that's their Switch character in Capcom versus Marvel or whatever. That's they can hit the button and it flies out. It's like, hey, guess what? It's fucking Sony. Fuck you, Google.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna be like, oh yeah, bitch, here's Amazon. It's coming. So it's such an interesting time. I just don't take offense to it. Look, I want to have my own computer because I want to do productive things on it. In addition to playing games. And sure, I like to be able to play games locally on my computer, but most of the games that I play are online already. That's just me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and require a sort of digital handshake between me and the other players already. So what's the difference? You know, the input commands are already different, latency-wise between me and the other players, depending on who has the faster ping. Right, so that's already happening. That's not new. So people are worried about latency differences. Well, it's already there. We already have like a common thing to go back and forth with. What?
It might sort of increase due to sort of server interpolation, but like it won't be. I think it'll affect the sort of elite side of like competitive gaming. You know, so if you need that frame rate, if you need that perfect click headshot, it's definitely going to sort of not be restrictive, but not as sort of quick as sort of the average connection or the modern connection that we're used to. But just for like playing The Sims, or playing Baldur's Gate, or
exactly, turn-based, I agree, or World of Warcraft, even things like that. And Bubby says internet latency and input lag are different things. Bubby's smarter than me. He works with computers. I work with myself, so I completely understand that. And I just make shit up to talk about. So quickly, give us your top 3 games of all time. Great.
Wow. Okay. Top 3. Jesus.
That's a game I can play. Jesus.
yeah. It's one of my favorites.
And there's a second coming of that game too, right? There's Jesus 1 and Jesus 2.
Oh my god.
Right. Yeah.
Of all time.
It's like Tapper, but you don't use beer. You use wine. It's an old game.
What's the top 3 games you can think of? Yes, please.
Yes, please. I know. Right. Okay.
Right. Okay. There's. Of all time, it's like Tapper, but you don't use beer. You use wine. It's an old game. Please continue.
Yes, please.
I know. Right. Okay. I'm just going to go with the most time I've played them, so I can imagine time equals most enjoyment, right?
Possibly,
Sure.
maybe.
Possibly. I don't know. I'm kind of on the spot.
Have I told
really.
you I've played
kind of-
1,100 hours on Lucio in Overwatch?
No pressure.
No pressure, right? So I'd say
He can play anything though, so it doesn't really matter.
That's
in no particular order, I would say my first one would be the original Doom series, either 1 or 2.
Doom, great
I
game.
spent a lot of time on that because I'm 33, so I kind of when it sort of
Wow.
exploded, it was that generation.
I love when everybody says their age. It's always with a hint of shame. I'm 33, so
Yeah, at 33, I suck now. No,
yeah,
it's,
I'm fucking. We did a podcast on this. No,
How
you're
dare
33.
you.
Shut the fuck up. Please continue.
yeah. Games.
Nobody lists Overwatch, which is crazy because it's the game we all met, and except for Erica, like, and then we play constantly. Nobody
It's
lists
a
it
fun social competitive game.
People
but it's
hate
not
it,
The best game.
because we kind of hate it.
No,
You-
it's just
it's-
not the best game.
You love to hate it, right? You know, you love to hate it.
It's amazing.
Oh, I don't even know. Honestly, I have so many games I play that I love.
Okay, here's what I want to happen. OC Diva, tell Grave what his third favorite game is, and thank you, OG. What is Grave's third? You have. I think that of all the people in the world that would understand English people, I'm gonna say right now, you're the best. What's his favorite third game? You have no qualifications for that thing.
No, I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, that's-
What-
I've definitely got one of my favorite games. I would
Tell
say
us.
it's my top 3.
Yes.
Okay, ready?
Yes, ready.
Probably the
Drum roll.
first Metal Gear on.
Oh,
PlayStation.
interesting. So somebody else mentioned that before. I actually really like that too, and I think that's a pretty much favorite for almost everybody. Would you guys agree? Metal Gear
which one?
Solid, is
I
it?
never played any of the Metal Gear games.
What? See,
Attention. No.
I played a game that you haven't played.
I played Splinter Cell.
It's kind of the same thing without sort of being blasphemous, but
It's Snake. it's Snake Plissken from
played-
fucking what do you call it? Escape from New York. It's,
I
Yeah.
played
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
4 Splinter Cells.
you know what else I haven't heard people list was Resident Evil.
I forgot.
I am a scaredy cat.
Oh,
And
Oh.
so
sorry.
I have watched people play that game and got so scared. I was just like, nope, can't listen.
So you're
can't
saying you wouldn't watch
no.
my stream if I started playing scary
Oh
games?
no, definitely not.
What?
0%.
I've been told to play
0%
fucking
0% chance I'd watch that stream.
Really? I'd turn you off by having monsters on the screen?
Oh yeah. I
I-
have one. I'll say I have 2 sort of scary games. One of them is Darkest Dungeon, which is a dungeon crawler game that has really cool gothic art and is scary. But it's not that scary. Like anybody who plays that game will be like, eh. The only other game that's scary that I have is Amnesia.
Hmm.
Oh,
I
it's
I
so
love that
good.
game. I
And
love that
it's
game.
just, it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just so brilliant. I still haven't beaten it. Like, the most time I've played on it is 6 hours. But I've tried so hard to play it through, and I just get so scared. Like, I can't play it by myself. I can't play it in the dark. I can't play it.
It is. It's a
When,
constant
like,
thriller
oh
on
my
edge.
god. It's
Yes.
just so brilliant, though, and that's as far as they go.
Okay, so let's any movie or other property that you'd love to see turned into a game. Let's get some. What do you think, Redneck? Are you still around, or are you off doing Redneck Adventures?
A lot going on around me.
Oh, that's okay. Just tell me any movie or other thing you'd love to see turned into a video game. Can you list any of them?
Not right off.
That's no problem. OC Diva, any movie or television show you'd love to see turned into a video game?
Another Blade Runner.
Another Blade Runner. Interesting.
That's
I
a great
fucking let me tell you something. I loved the Blade Runner video game that I played in 1998.
Westward Digital.
Yeah,
Yep.
I remember that. Holy shit. I fucking loved that game. Because like there'd be like I love the lights, and anytime you can make blue flashy or red flashy lights that look like the Blade Runner or Akira movies, I'm like I want to see that. I don't know why I'm so like into that. So like they had that, and you would just go like outside and just be chilling on the stoop, and it'd be raining on you, and it was such a great atmosphere game. And then you'd be in the computer. So I'd love to see that. That's awesome. That's a great pick. Or even Dune would be cool. Misery, what movie or TV series?
Ooh. Okay, so you guys probably never played this game before, but there's a game
Try me.
on PlayStation 2 called Jet Li: Rise to Honor.
Did not know that.
And it's a like kung fu shooting, mostly kung fu though, fighting game. And instead of having buttons to do the attacks, you use the joystick. And you could literally move it in all sorts of different ways to make different types of attacks. And you could make, there was at least 50 different types of attacks and combos that you could do with the joystick.
That's awesome. Great.
And it was so cool. So, going off of that, I think it would be really awesome if they made a John Wick video game that was a new story.
Interesting.
With the same beginning.
Interesting.
But you use the joystick to do all sorts of crazy combination, like punching, shooting, whatever. So that way it has a lot more creativity and like enjoyment of just like really cool stuff that you can pull off, while also just like a really fun action like fighty game.
Awesome. Grave, what do you think?
I would like them. I don't know who them are. I would like them to
common people.
No, God.
Deplorables. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh God. I would like them people. No, I don't know. I would like a good adaptation of a Terminator game.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've never done a good one. Never done a good one.
No, I don't think they have. They did like sort of like an old FPS game. I can't remember. It wasn't. I think it was called System Shock or something like that. I can't remember.
Well, they had one in the arcade when I was like 1993. It was actually fun.
Shock, like,
You're Terminator. You'd spend like $400 to beat it.
That's right. It was like next to impossible. They've had like several games like arcade shooters. I even had a Terminator game on the Game Boy. I remember it was like that perspective.
But
from
you
like
want to see a really
arcade shooter.
You want to see
I'd love to. I'd love to see a proper. Maybe like a good adaptation from the
but would
first
you be
movie.
you want to be the perspective of the Terminator or like the guy running away or the lady running away?
I would like to do it all. I would like to be.
Ooh.
I would like to be Carl Reese. I'd like to be the T-800.
Whoa! What's
like
going on
Sarah
with that?
Connor.
Oh
That'd
shit!
be amazing.
I'd like to be Sarah Connor, but in a completely different way. Sorry, please continue. Yeah, well, the future's not set, so.
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen Terminator like 100 times. So okay, I'm gonna list. I'm gonna go to the chat. First, I was gonna say Chernobyl.
Oh my god.
I was gonna say Chernobyl, and where you like just have to like escape the invisible radiation. No, that's not it at all. I didn't know what I was gonna say, and then Al took my fucking brain and said the best answer ever: Die Hard. Die Hard would be the greatest video game ever made.
That would be fantastic. They've done like several Die Hard spin-offs in a way, and an unlicensed.
So they had a game. Ugh. I'm sure it was.
Did.
Yeah,
shit.
they did. Yeah, they had a Die Hard trilogy, I believe, and but I thought that was pretty cool because they had it was 3 different types of genres. They had like almost like a 3D, over top shooter. Then they had a driving game, and it was like a sort of an arcade shooter. It was pretty cool.
To get without the rape part of it, Clockwork Orange, where I just get the fucking mayhem shit. Oh, that's Grand Theft Auto. That's already been made. Let me think. Sorry, kind of is, right? How are you, Lars, by the way? Let's see. Dear Esther, don't know that one. Sounds amazing. I'm thinking Handmaid's Tale. That wouldn't make a good game. This shit that's in my head currently. Breaking Bad. I would play that game.
What?
Breaking Bad, the game.
How would you play? Okay.
Dude, like there'd be like a fucking
Sounds
thriller
like a
of trying to like cook meth, become a drug dealer.
You would get bored. You would get
Yeah, I
bored.
probably would. Is it competitive meth?
Yeah, so bored. Like if you want a walking
Diamond
simulator,
Meth,
if you want like a Sims type game where you're like grinding out, doing like life.
Yeah,
shit,
no thank you.
you'd
Yeah,
be
I get so bored.
as hell.
Yeah, you have to fucking basically make the meth. But they should do the meth in the same way they do that cooking game. What's it called? Meat something? I played it with Erica
Okay,
before.
Mama. Cooking Mama?
Oh no, the cooking game.
The simulator. Al knows what it is. What the fuck is that cooking game?
Kitchen Mayhem or something.
Some shit. By the way, the Stadia version is coming out, called Packing, where it's all like you do a moving company. You got to move people's shit in cars, and people getting run over. It looks fucking fantastic, and we could do that on stream too. Old Boy turned into a game. Amazing. Yeah, I like games like that. And the original, I think Max Payne did it very well, like the bullet time. But there was like a game for the Xbox One, the original Matrix Path of Neo. That was a
brilliant game.
It's pretty fucking good. I still have the disc, and I wish I could find a way to play it. Because like the bullet time in that was really good. And then like there were combos that you had to learn as you went along, kind of like what you're talking about. And I remember being like, yo, parts of this game are fucking legit. So there are games that I really like. I promise, out there somewhere. I'll find them. For real. But today somebody told me to play Killing Floor 2. They're saying I should stream Killing Floor 2.
Yeah. Good idea.
Is it a good game?
Have you heard of Batman Arkham Asylum?
No, I got 20 minutes, I got bored.
20 minutes?
Yeah, that's all I made through 20 minutes. I have my Steam library has like 30 games, of which I've played maybe 6 of them for more than 20 minutes. I'm just like, I'm going to play this game. And then I just don't play it.
Do you like a story?
Well, sometimes.
That's kind of like a key part.
Sometimes. That's why I like Last of Us. Obviously, OCDiva had she made some good points about some of its controls weren't great. So I'd like a Last of Us type scenario with better gameplay. Because I loved Last of Us. You know, Left 4 Dead 2. I really do like zombies chasing me, but it kind of freaks me out after a while. Like, I don't like unwinnable hordes. I like it for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think Left 4 Dead gives you sort of a useless sensation. You know, you shoot so many, and then they just appear out of nowhere. I thought Left 4 Dead was a very, very good game.
Left 4 Dead 2 versus mode would be a great watch. I'll consider that. We should make a list of these kinds of things. I thought Last of Us, what I liked about it was it's atmospheric. I really like games that are completely atmospheric. I have trouble, like, for me, to stream these games, though, is difficult. Because, like, I get, like, when I'm in an atmosphere game, I can see myself getting very quiet because I'm, like, really intensely observing where I am or just trying to feel or vibe it. And when you stream a game, it changes the game because you're interacting with an audience. And each audience member comes in with a different criteria, emotion set, what they want out of the stream. Sometimes humor, sometimes conversation, sometimes just a lurk. And it's hard to, as a streamer, I find it certain games just more difficult to be entertaining with those kinds of things. For me,
streaming Dark Souls.
I want to stream other stuff like Dark Souls. Yeah, I can't stream Dark Souls because I think that people ask me to stream Sekiro and Dark Souls because they just want to see me get frustrated on camera. I think that's the reason they want me to do it. Nothing to do with the game itself. And I think that's an evil request.
They're really, really good games. I don't think they're good for streaming. Interesting. Like, I mean, I've streamed them, but only for my ex-girlfriend. She would watch me play.
So what do you think is like a good streaming game? OCDiva, what do you think? What do you think would be the best streaming game right now?
The best? I mean, I just like co-op games. I think they're fun, but unfortunately, there's not that many co-op games that are super popular. I mean, like look, Overwatch. But I mean like something like a Monster Hunter or the crazy cooking game we were playing. But
have you ever heard of Gang Monsters?
Gang Monsters?
Gang Beasts. Gang Beasts.
Gang Beasts. That sounds
Gang
like.
Beasts
is that on RedTube?
It's no.
Oh.
It's on
Sorry.
It's on Steam. It's $20. It's kind of pricey. I would get it on. Like,
no, that excited Bubby in the chat room. He said, "Oh my fucking god, Gang Beasts best game."
It's a really hilarious fighting game that's co-op. They're really short little combat things. Whoever's the last person standing wins, and you play with your friends. And like, every single time I have watched people play it on stream, it is so hilarious. I couldn't breathe anymore. that's how funny and enjoyable it is.
Gang Beasts? I'll play that. Put it on the
Gang
list, Danny.
Beasts.
Put it on the list. Bubby said, tell Danny I will throw her in the box fire.
I can
don't
read
know what that
it,
means.
Bubby.
That's not very nice, Bubby. Whatever the fuck that means. So, listen, I mean, we all seem to like video games. We all seem to like video games for different reasons. We all come to the table for different reasons. But I think that this has become the new way for us to connect with people. And I definitely think that the generations that are after mine, this is a social norm for everybody. If you don't play video games and you don't play them online, I think video games are much more prominent than even social media. I feel like video games are the method of communication for younger people especially, and just basically for everybody. It's like a way to have a shared emotional and narrative experience, and sometimes competitive experience. It's very interesting, unless you guys have something to add to that little diatribe that I threw up there. So I diatribe. I'm part of that. That's my tribe. I'm the diatribe. It's common.
Well,
What do you
I
say?
certainly think the gaming culture has switched over the maybe the past decade. Certainly, it's gone from sort of a niche sort of backdrop with a certain group of people to a widely accepted sort of social norm. So for me, I think that's great overall.
Do you find that it helps people who are not antisocial, but less social in the real world as a way to sort of connect with other people for a lot of people?
I mean, I'm certainly no expert on the subject, but I think it's almost like a double-edged sword in the sense where you can. I think social interaction has certain levels, right? You have certain levels of social interaction. If you just then isolate someone on a machine, playing Fortnite all day, I don't think it's very social. It's not going to teach you the relevant skills, right? And that, in the sense, can be bad, but it's good in the sense where you could have a stronger community through the streaming platforms such as Twitch and XYZ. And it's really, if a person is going to be antisocial, they're going to be antisocial. And there's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think gaming only overall generates a sort of a positive retrospect for me. But certainly I'm not an antisocial person, but I think I've definitely been more social because of games. Definitely.
And I'm going to go around the room real quick as this is the final question on this thing. So, Erica, would you say that your life is better because of video games?
Yeah.
Can you describe that in any way?
Because it led me down my career path, and I eventually got to make them. And from the money I made making video games, I was able to buy an apartment and do a lot of really amazing things and work with a lot of amazing people and learn some really tough lessons. And I still remained the person I am, even though I went through some terrible shit, but it was worth it.
And Austin, video games, what have they done for you? What would you see yourself without video games in this world? Austin, not here. Okay, so Austin is just disappeared. He's playing World of Warcraft right now, actually. That's hilarious. And
The irony.
The question for you, Misery, have video games filled some sort of thing in you
Definitely.
in your life?
Definitely. I would say some of the best highlights of times with friends have been around video games. Some of the best laughs, some of the best honestly cries have been from video games. There's a lot of good lessons, and then you had talked about this earlier, but really got through a really, really tough time in my life because of video games as being a really good distraction. So, definitely.
And how about you, Grave?
Definitely a combination of two of the answers we've already had. Really, it doesn't get any better than that. I think video games for me have always been sort of an escapism from my work. I mean, I come from quite a sporty background as well. You know, it's not as if I don't socially interact with a lot of sort of groups and a lot of social circles. But sometimes, I mean, I've always liked it since a kid, right? You know, grown up on it. But I think overall it offers the best of both worlds for me. I think that's the best thing.
For me, video games have been with me through my entire life. I think I've taken some pauses here and there, but I mean, playing even Battlezone and things that were like innovative, little tricked out cabinets as a kid, they gave me a place to escape to that was interactive. And over the years, with all my friends, they gave me a wonderful community. They gave me something to be competitive with in college and beyond, and they allowed me to meet many of the people that I've met online. They've been a conduit to relationships. They're sort of like a buffer, a common interest by pursuing a virtual common goal with people, or even in opposition, that have brought me closer to people. I don't really talk about too much personal stuff here, but for this moment I will. When my father, who's no longer with us, passed away, and he was in his some of his worst states, they gave me an escape. And Overwatch was, that game in particular was a game I played. And I remember thanking the guys and saying, listen, this is the situation I'm having, and I just need to just do something that's fun and frivolous or intense or whatever it was that wasn't the thing I was currently going through. And so it gave me an escape when I needed an escape most, to a world that wasn't currently the world I live in now, or lived in at the moment. So video games have been very, very special to me. Even though I run from them, even though sometimes I buy them and I play them for only 20 minutes and I throw them away or move on to the next thing, I'm always hopeful that this version of storytelling and interactivity gives me new perspective and new ways to connect with people. That's what I really want out of them. Is I want something that will help me not only relax, but see new perspectives by playing something of a different nature than maybe of my own, to get to explore different parts of myself, and also a way to just, have that experience be, like I said, again, a bridge to other people. That's, for me, the goal of gaming. And that's in that way, the gaming surpasses movies and television. Because it's not just a water cooler experience where you're just talking about something. You're talking about something you experienced in a virtual way. Well, that's a really down note. Sorry. But yeah, that's it is what it is. So, guys, thank you so much to Grave and Misery, especially to Erica, who's always hilarious, and Austin, who's gone off to play World of Warcraft. He's the fucking best. We love that guy. And I'd like to thank the common people of the chat room. All common people of the chat room, including OG Link and Sharp and Bubby and those who are lurking but have not followed. Fuck you. I love you. That's a joke. And Al, and I'm just scrolling up, and Laris and Genetic, and there's so many. Thank you guys for just being a part of this for me, with me. It is amazing. So this is available soon on YouTube and iTunes and Spotify, of which all of them are at some point when I stop playing the games that I'm playing and get off my ass and put them up there. Thank you guys. This, as always, has been amazing.